What's going on, guys? So I'm gonna be doing a little market review today, and basically going over what I called in Discord. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly go to my Discord, and I will show you my thoughts from this morning. Okay, so if I go to my index commentary channel, okay, just gonna scroll up a little bit. Today was pretty interesting. I like today, to be honest. So the other day, I posted at the end of the day yesterday. I said I retook a look at weekly NQ as long as this holds in bullish. So today I was expecting expansion up. Okay, why did I think expansion up today? Well, if you look at weekly, okay, let me just remove this. Where does price want to expand to after we bounce out of a daily fair value gap? Does anyone know? Okay, buy side liquidity. Okay, so once we bounce out of fair value gap, we want to expand to buy side liquidity. And the reason why I like this so much is because this should turn into an order block, okay? And we should expand up to 13,077 or whatever that is. Okay, so that right now is my target. Okay, as long as we gotta hold this order block though. Okay, as long as we hold this order block, that's my target. You gotta see this is mean threshold as well. So I said this was my target on NAS today. And once we broke that target, I was like, okay, we broke this with a lot of acceleration. We're probably going to get higher. So if you look at the 1 hour, okay, do you see how we have this buy side and this buy side? This was my ultimate target, but once we broke this, I was like, okay, we broke this with a ton of acceleration. We're probably going to keep going higher. And it did offer us some more 1 minute entries on the ES, which I did not take, but I did take a couple other things that I alerted that I'll show you in a second. And I said, here's this morning. So on the 1 hourly ES, right? If I think, okay, I've been wanting 7, 8 to hit for the last few days. Okay, so I wanted this to hit for the last 3 days. Every time we got close to it, it just teased us and we never hit it for some reason. Okay, so you can see it's engineering all this liquidity above. So today I was like, okay, if we get a short in here, I'll take it. Okay, and what do you see happen? Okay, what you see happen is this. So we get this, and I said if we get a short in here, I'll take it, and we did end up putting a short in here. Okay, overnight, and I longed yesterday night. Okay, so I said this was the thing I said never got filled, but see how this is not telling me to short. So yesterday, when we were in here, if I just go back to, let's go to the 5 minute time frame. When we got to the zone yesterday, okay, I was looking for a short, but do you see this giant displacement up? Okay, this is still not telling me to short. Even though we're in a giant 1 hour fair value gap, this is not telling me to short. So I actually took a light long here. I got filled here. Okay, and my target was here. And I actually re-entered, okay? So I ended up reposting this. I posted this LiveTime. This was the entry I posted. And you can see, okay, what do you see? Boom. Why do I like this better than just blatantly entering down here? If I blindly enter in this fair value gap, how do you know exactly where to enter, right? I wait for confirmation, so what I look for is a bounce out of the fair value gap and then like a second tap in entry. See how this is the second tap in entry right here after we get this? And I end up taking 1 hour, stop the other, break even. And I said stop, break even, I'm going to bed. And I said there's 4 points if you got in. And I said scale up half of 4 points because 4 points is 4 points. So like Asia session, it's really good. And I said so far so good, holding rest so break even or take profit. And then I would stop the rest at break even when I went to bed, right? So that was kind of that alert. And this was a very nice short from overnight. And I know there was no market structure shift here. But it was also an old bearish fair value gap, which when we trade above this, if we're bullish, we want to see this hold the support, which it did not. So when we're trading back below it, do we want to see back above this old SIBI? No, we do not. So journal that or mark that or note that, whatever. So here would be the nice short, even with no market structure shift. And the reason why this was a nice short is because we know on the 1 hourly, we're still in the middle of that 1 hour fair value gap. And then here's what I said today. So when I woke up, I kind of took a little peep and it looked like a sell model. Okay, but again, I had NQ in the back of my mind, and then look what I said. I said 749, so 721 I was bearish, and then 741 I was like, nope, I'm bullish again as long as we stay above the SIBI. And I said again, no hard bias right now, just watching structure. So if I go to the 1 minute and look at earlier, I think this is the 4 minute. Again, you got to use every time frame. I know 4 minutes sounds wild to use, but look at this fair value gap. So when I peeked the market again, I was like, okay, I saw us blow through as this fair value gap. We blow through it. We use it as support. And I said I want to use a support. And I said, see how we use the support? Easy 5 handles. A couple people in chat caught that. Where would you sell? You would sell at internal liquidity, which is basically these equal highs. See how we have these equal highs here? This is your target. Okay, that's your 5 handle move. And then I reposted. I'm like, okay, so now we're holding this as resistance, and I said we have equal lows, so the equal lows would be the target. Okay, and you can see the equal lows right here. And what happened? We end up using this as resistance. So remember what I just said? I said if there's a fair value gap, we bounce off it, and then we trade back through it. You want to see it used as resistance because you do not want to see price go back up this if there's equal lows. Okay, so there's equal lows. Here's another decent scalp. And I said, see how textbook opportunities for 2 longs, just so you can see. Okay, then here I said, I would rather long here in NQ if possible, as long as ES holds a 15-minute OB. Only way I'd go short if we went under the 15-minute OB and then retrace to it and use it as a break block. So this was 9:44 a.m., right? This was my prediction this morning, and I said this on live voice. Okay, and you can see my prediction was correct. Even though I came with a bearish bias, I was like, okay, I would rather long NQ. NQ looks way stronger. I think NQ is going to pump, and I'll explain why in a second. So you know that we bounce off the weekly on NQ. You know we bounce off the weekly fair value gap. Okay, so I still was keeping this in mind. Okay, so the fact that we bounce off this weekly fair value gap just tells me that price wants to expand up. Okay, because after we bounce up fair value gap, where we hunt highs and lows. Okay, old bias of liquidity, right? So that was my kind of price target. And if we go to NQ, okay, if we go to the 4 hour, I was like, okay, we bounce off this with some inducement, which was very dirty by the markets, and we what do you see? We break structure here, so we're making a higher high, and you can see how energetic this candle is. And we make a 4 hour fair value gap. So when I saw this, even though ES at the time did not look like this, if you look at ES at the time, ES honestly looked very bearish at this time. You can see ES. Oh, this is not ES. You can just see ES at this time. We were still down here in ES. So I was like, eh. And there's no fair value gap to bounce off here. That's the thing. There is no fair value gap ever to bounce off here. Okay, there was a BPR. Okay, there was a BPR here, which was nice. And I explained to my voice chat, I'm like, we are in a BPR. The candle is actually down here, and I'm like, we are in a BPR, but there is 36 more minutes till the candle closes. And you want to pay attention. Does this candle close inside the B, or does it close under, or will it close inside? And I said that's going to help determine my bias as well. And we ended up closing above in this BPR. We never closed under, which was like, okay, now I'm even more confident we're bullish. And you can see just how solid this fair value gap looks. Okay, oftentimes when you see like an NQ, if I ever see something like this, if I ever see us go near a high, okay, so here's the obvious high. If I ever see us go near the high, and see how we're also closing above mean threshold, this order block. Okay, see, mean threshold is this 0.50. See how we strongly close above? That tells me this high is probably going to get taken out. So on this retracement, okay, it's like, okay, this is definitely going to take, this high is going to be taken out. We're close above the mean threshold. And oftentimes when you get close to these highs and then reject, okay, what happens is smart money wants to come back in, okay? And by smart money wanting to come back in, they make price go back down again before hitting the high, right before hitting the high, and they get back in. Here's your retrace, here's where you look for your long. And you're not blindly stopping this. What I do is I go to the smaller time frame and look for like a lower time frame sniper entry, you know? So you can see that end up happening. And then here's the long at ES, and I said people could take this if they wanted. I did not take this personally. And I'll just quickly show you. So this was from this morning. You can see this was very, very nice. This just played out, which I was expecting, so it's nice to see this just played out. I saw the equal highs here, and I saw, okay, a lot of energetic displacement. Here's your long, and here's your liquidity grab, or your purge liquidity. This was nice. So, yeah, I was just watching that LiveTime. It's nice to see that end up playing out. I did not take that, though. So if we go down this morning, okay, what I said you could take long, I was like, I told people, I'm like, okay, you could take this long, okay? You can see we had a volume bounce right here, and it was also an order block, right? So it's a volume bounce and order block. It's a strong point of confluence. Okay, here's your market structure shift right here. Okay, see how much displacement how much displacement go over these highs. Here's your long. I did not catch this. Some of my voice chat pointed out before we came down to it, and I kind of forgot about it. But once we came back and traded back above here, I'm like, okay, you do not want to see back below this. You could long this if you wanted. This would be your target, and this would be your target up here. And unfortunately, what happened is we ended up coming back down and reducing. So it was a good long. So some people did long it. They got the long. We came back and reduced, and then obviously we just slowly consolidated up again. But again, when we break these old fair value gaps and we think the bullish is bias, okay, you want to see these old fair value gaps hold. So I kind of pointed out in stream, I was like, this is a possible long if you want to take it. And ended up working out nice. Okay, and because I was still bullish on NQ, I said this needs to be smashed through if my long bias is correct. And I believe this is a breakaway gap, so breakaway gap should not work. Okay, I'm not going to explain why it's a breakaway gap for now. Just know that we do not want this fair value gap to be rejected. I'm sure some of you guys probably shorted it. I would have shorted this early before, like when I first started trading. But you can see there's not really any displacement under this low, okay, which means what? This is probably a liquidity purge, which means what? We should trade above this fair value gap, and then we should retest it and then go up again. So I was kind of expecting a pump to that fair value gap, and I said if my long bias is correct. So I was long bias at this point. Okay. There's buy side. Here's what I pointed out yesterday. And then at 11:08 a.m., I saw ES pushing up still, and I'm like, okay. It's 11:08. I've had this target of 78 for a while, and you can see I put the eye emoji right here, okay? This is when we were up here, I was like, okay, we got to hit this. And you can see what ended up happening. And then NQ, same thing. I saw we hit internal, but see how much acceleration we went over internal with? Whenever I see this acceleration over these buy sides, I'm like, okay, this is a solid candle. And I kind of look for old highs above, and I saw this high. I'm like, okay, this looks like a market maker buy model. We should hit this buy side. And there it was. And then I said, and boom again. Okay, and then in live voice, I did not alert this on chat. I just alerted this in live voice. I alerted this entry in live voice. Okay, let me just quickly go over this. Why did I alert this entry? So we already hit buy side at this point. You can see this was buy side at this line. But do you see how he barely went over buy side? And do you see how he left equal highs? That told me that, okay, this is kind of relative equal. We never really, you can kind of tell when we stop people out. This candle was not strong enough to stop these guys out at buy side. This is the candle, this is a stop out candle. These show people are getting stopped out. When we trace back down, this is a fair value gap you would not take because, again, why? Because we hit buy side liquidity. So once we hit the highs or lows, you do not keep taking fair value gaps. But right here, I alerted this entry. Okay, I was like, I never alerted right here. I probably alerted right there. I'm like, okay, you can take calls here. I'm taking an option call. Got 20% out of it. And someone asked me, they go, why wouldn't you short this fair value gap to sell side? Okay, which would be right here. Well, you can kind of see right here, we already took sell side liquidity down here, and I didn't know which was sell side at the time. We could have taken any of these lows, but the fact that we hit this obvious low and we didn't really displace under it tells me, okay, we're going back up. And it was also another unfilled part of a fair value gap right there as well. And once you see that, the opposite side fair value gaps kind of become irrelevant. So although this is a low probability, low risk trade, and some people probably made 10 points off this, right? I'm still looking the direction along because of these relative equal highs. So ideally, I wanted this to be traded above. And you can see I did not blindly stop this for a value gap. Again, what I do is I kind of see the reaction. And when I saw this reaction of us going above this for a value gap, okay, that tells me what? When I see this candle, that tells me what? That tells me we get a nice energetic candle out of a fair value gap. That tells me the market keeps wanting. That tells me the market likely wants to hunt higher. So now I look for a second free fair value gap to retrace into. Here it was. And once I see this, I'm like, okay, we have these equal highs above here. It would make sense if we pumped up above those equal highs. And that ended up happening. We got the 20% trade. And I said this was just a joke. I said posting a 41R trade just in case this happens. So now we hit buy side. Now what do you look for? You look for a short setup. Okay, we don't really get any obvious market structure shift here. I guess you could say this is a Baker structure. But see this obvious breaker structure, fair value gap. Okay, I actually alerted this trade. This is the trade I alerted. I said, wait for the confirmation setup, which I teach what confirmation means in my Discord. This was I posted this in LiveTime. You can see it ended up working out very nicely. This is like the stop loss I had. You can see it ended up working out pretty nicely. This is what I took it on options and I took it on demo. Okay, so I did not take this in my real futures account, but I did take this on options, which is real money. So I took that and I said no confirmation, no short. Your confirmation was right there. So again, I expressed using these old fair value gaps. So for me to have confirmation, it would be one, a bearish fair value gap, which would be right here, which is kind of low at this point, or two, trading below a bullish fair value gap and then retesting it. So we traded below this fair value gap and then we retested it. Okay, now price should deliver here. Okay, and we created some equal lows right here. Unfortunately, this was kind of annoying. We went back up, maybe stopped some more people out, but again, never hit the true stop loss. So I stayed in, and yeah, you can see this is my entry. I got 10%. I think I sold for 15, and then I just showed this is the future trade target hit. So that was pretty nice. And last but not least, this was my prediction ad. I actually posted this prediction in another Discord before this giant green candle. I was a little late posting it to here, unfortunately. But even though we kind of hit buy side already, okay, we already hit buy side a million times. This is the internal or external buy side. This dotted line. But I was like, okay, I see some equal highs. What happens with equal highs? These were too perfect not to be hit. So I'm figuring at this point, I'm like, okay, these are probably going to be hit. So we end up trading above these equal highs. And this was my prediction. And look, again, what do I teach to use as confirmation? These old fair value gaps. When we trade back above this fair value gap, that's my market structure shift to me. And now we got to hold it, okay? And once we hold this old fair value gap, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try long here. And I end up getting 20% out of it. You can see it end up completing. 20% again. Boom, we hit the equal highs. And then we end up re-hitting high of day, which was expected, but I wasn't too confident because NAS already hit it. And because in the higher time frame, we're already in a giant daily fair value gap here, I wasn't totally sure if we were going to get an SMT or not. We never end up getting a... we had the SMT, but we never really got a short setup. So, yeah. So my plan for next week is I'm going to see how we react to this. I'm still bullish on NAS, and it's kind of a tough situation because you can kind of see that NAS looks bullish to hitting this high, okay? And we got some low resistance liquidity. Well, ES looks like we're going to reject this daily fair value gap. I'm assuming we're going to hit this high NAS and maybe even blow by this fair value gap. But if we get a short out of this, I will definitely take it. There's no way I'm going to avoid taking a short out here. There's just no way I'll take a short here if we get it. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions about today. It was pretty straightforward. We know we need to buy side liquidity above. Kept trying to long to buy side liquidity. Also, I want to mention, before we hit buy side, see this pump right here? Okay, a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm going to wait for retracement down here. Once we start making these order blocks, these defined order blocks, we should not trade back below them. So that's, okay, you can long here. You could long here. Okay, these are all on discount. You could have longed this old Sibi again. Okay, and again, you got to accept the risk, though. When you long these, you have to accept the risk. You have to know, okay, we haven't hit buy side liquidity, but we're pretty high and we're getting still textbook long setups. You just have to know how high you're longing and just know that because I'm so high, this might be likely fail because on the higher time frame, we're still not a discount. But these can still work. I did like these. I didn't catch any of them because I have my own rules. I don't chase. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, in my Discord, let me know if you have any questions. Peace.